Know all the things we know, and we still need to know what you know, because there's something out there that we don't know.
How are ya?
Good evening, everybody.
Woo!
Welcome to our Sunday Night Live. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Where are you at, everybody? It's great to see you. Who's in the house, Karen?
Well, we got a whole lot of folks. Let me see. It's a little hard to see from over here. I saw Arizona,
Michigan,
Cali, DC. Oh
Ireland.
my gosh, my eyesight's getting really bad. Knoxville, Oklahoma, Florida, Ohio, Wyoming.
North
I think
Carolina.
you can see it better than I can. Flagstaff.
California.
We got a little concert here.
California's in the
begin.
house. Nebraska.
Myrtle Beach.
Ontario. Toronto. West Palm Beach, Michigan.
Maryland.
Pasco,
North
Ontario.
Carolina.
Buffalo, Pennsylvania. It's so great to have so many friends. If it's your first time here on the interview room, you're in for a treat.
Welcome in.
Because this gorgeous young lady is the brains of the operation. And we have a lot of fun.
Thank goodness. No, just kidding.
We only ask for one thing, and that is that you hit the subscribe button and then you have fun. And be courteous in the chat, and thank our mods. Who's our mods?
Our mods are amazing women. Thank you so much. Maui Girl, Miss Sophia, Mimi J2, Laura Waldy, Teresa M, and Holly.
And hopefully you like to have a good time, because this is the channel where we tell it straight up.
And I want to just also shout out our Patreon members. Thank you so much for your continued support. We could not do this without your help. And we value your support, and we're so grateful you're here as well.
And our channel members here on YouTube, we love you guys, and we're thankful for each and every one of you folks. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Without you, we can't, and we couldn't be this far. We're almost at 300,000, hon. Can you believe that?
I can't believe it.
It's unbelievable. And that's because of you. Each and every one of you, feel free to know that you have been the driving force behind the interview room. And we mean that in all sincerity. In all sincerity. Where's the meatloaf, by the way?
He's walking around here, strolling around.
So Buddy's walking around somewhere. If you'll see him in the background, he's the executive producer of the show.
And it's always a little dicey when we're both on live and Buddy has the run of the place. Anything can happen.
Put your seatbelts on. You just don't know.
We don't know
what that little rascal. Those of you that have a Jack Russell Terrier know exactly what we're talking about here. All right. So tonight's agenda on the docket.
Well, first, let's explain the poll that we put up.
Yeah. How's it going so far on the poll?
If you're in chat or watching, you see we put up a question on our poll, and it says, should the Arizona Attorney General indict Sheriff Nanos for perjury? And just a super quick backstory behind that is, if you remember, the Pima County Board of Supervisors, who are Sheriff Nanos' bosses, they in May referred the matter, this perjury matter, to the state AG, to the state attorney general. And we are told that the attorney general is going to be making a decision here in the next couple of weeks, but it's not too late for people in the community. You don't have to be in Arizona. You can be from anywhere to weigh in and send them an email and weigh in. Now, if you're asking what's the perjury charge about, back in December of 2025, 6 months ago, Nanos, for some of the lawsuits that Nanos is facing, he was depositioned. And in that deposition, he was under oath. And he allegedly lied under oath about whether or not he had any discipline as a law enforcement officer. He said no, but after that, it was a couple months later, we found out all of his the skeletons in his closet came falling out from his time at El Paso Police Department.
Yeah, to the point where he actually beat, if you've not heard this, he beat a handcuffed prisoner with a flashlight and put that subject into the intensive care unit. He had over 37 days off on the beach while he was a officer with the El Paso Police Department, and he failed to report all of that and fudged his resume. And now he is the individual who is running the investigation for Nancy Guthrie. And of course, we are concerned at this end that is going to impact if there's an arrest made into the court system as a whole. So right now, the AG's email is running across the stream at the top on a ticker, and anybody can weigh in and tell them, hey, you need to get this guy out of there. And hopefully they'll indict him, because that was the recommendation by the County Board of Supervisors to get him removed. And that's really only one of the ways to do it, because the recall effort didn't gain enough signatures. And after tonight's show, when you see what we're going to present tonight, okay, unbelievable. Check this out. Can you see? Everybody see him?
Hang on, let me scoot
You
my
have to
chair.
move over. There
He's got a little dolly with him.
He got Lammy.
Brought his Lammy.
Nut job. What are you doing? Fun. The meatloaf. He's in. The producer's in the studio. Lock him up.
Okay, and just
Lock him up.
before we move off of the state attorney general investigation into Nanos regarding perjury, it should be noted that because Sheriff Nanos is an elected official, he is in office until 2028. Right now, it's another 2 years. If an elected official is indicted with a felony charge, they can't hold office. So by default, he would have to leave office.
He would have to resign by default.
Right.
And also think that the number two in office right now running this investigation, right, with Nanos, has also had a really shady past to the point where he lost his job, got his job back, but he had to change his name to come back. And he's now got a different name. What do they call it? What's his name now?
It's either Joe Harvey and Joe Cameron, or Joe Cameron and Joe Harvey. Meaning, I don't remember if his name was Cameron before he got fired from the Pima County Sheriff's Department. He didn't really have to change his name. He decided to change his name, which makes that story even stranger.
You can't make this stuff up, everybody. Seriously, this is a disaster just overall. And we've been talking to some of our friends out there, and quite frankly, tonight's going to be my wife. If you're new to our channel, again, she's an investigative journalist, started many years ago at the LA Times. I never, ever wanted to see my story above the fold, as we call it, and she has been digging into Nanos, and we kind of ran across a couple of things. And you could see the meatloaf back there. He's so funny with that little lammy thing. He's shaking it to death and throwing it up.
It's good. He's not in trouble yet. He's just having fun playing with
there
his
he is. So
friend.
everybody, you guys can see for yourself. The evidence is on YouTube, forever memorialized. Anyway, so email the AG if you feel so inclined, and give them your opinion as to what should be taking place. But when you see what we're going to present tonight and what Karen has been digging into, and shout out to what's the gentleman's name? Washington?
Oh, reporter John Washington in Tucson. Yeah, he did some excellent investigative work on this subject.
Yeah, and the reason we're doing this in conjunction, tonight's only part one. There's going to be probably multiple other things that you're going to show the audience, but we don't have enough time, quite frankly, to put it all in. So tonight we're going to start with Pima County Jail in custody deaths. Karen, why is this important, and what direction do you want to go, hon?
Okay, before we dive in, I just want to make a note to, if you're in chat, coming into chat, or just listening and you want to take our poll, it's just an informal poll, but we're going to keep it up, I think, during for the remainder of the show. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then we'll tell you guys what the numbers are at the end. So we did some digging, and we found out that at the Pima County Jail, that is run by Sheriff Nanos, he is in charge of the Pima County Jail, that since 2018, there have been at least 61 inmate deaths while in custody at the jail. Now, that, to give you some perspective and to put it in context, that number is 4 times the national average of deaths inside any other jail in the U.S.
So if we think about the mortality rates on the national average from 2017 to 2026, that's 3 to 4 times the national rate of deaths in a jail. Now, this is what you're dealing with there as a citizen in Pima County. Okay? This is the guy in charge of Nancy Guthrie's investigation. Now, here are the numbers as they break down. And by the way, we're being conservative here. There are many more. We think at least 61 plus.
We do at this point. Now, the Pima County Medical Examiner's Office investigates every single jail inmate death. And we've reached out to them. We are waiting to hear back from them. When we do, we will report back to you guys. But they are in charge. They categorize them, and they'll be able to shed a little more light for us. But based on the research that we've done, this is a pretty good working number right here.
So we're also going to be fair and balanced, but at the same time, the one thing you will learn is we are honest and straight shooters. We're not going to, jump around the bush in any way, shape, or form. We're going to go right through the bush.
Now, before we get to these key findings up on the screen, to give you guys just a little snapshot, in 2021, one person died in Sheriff Nanos' jail approximately every 31 days. I'm going to say that again. In 2021 and in 2022, one person died in that jail approximately every 31 days. Many of them were young men found unresponsive in their cell. Again, these numbers are 4 times the national average across the country. And in case you're wondering, like we were, most jails in the United States have the same problems that we're going to get into that are plaguing not just Pima County Jail, but jails across the country. Most jails don't have any deaths in a given year, or at the most 1 or 2. Pima County has a death rate of at least 10 per year. It's really between 10 and 12, based on what I just said. Obviously, something is very, very seriously wrong here.
So essentially, one of the things that we found is now, obviously, going back into 2020, COVID also is going to play into these numbers tonight. We're going to break this all down for you. So not to worry, your answers or your questions are going to be answered. Okay. But the key findings, the first one is between 2017, 2024, at least 57 plus deaths. And like Karen said, at least once a month, one a month.
And by the way, they've had 2 in the last 30 days. And we're going to get to that.
And we're going to get to that. Yeah. So here's the question. We wanted to know it, and that Karen wants to know, and she's also got a conversation, or actually communication into the ME's office, right?
Yeah.
To tighten these numbers up. But these numbers are solid, by the way. They're solid. So not to worry about what you're going to hear tonight. The peak rates here reached 560 to 624 per 100,000. That is more than LA County. It is almost 2 times more than Los Angeles County. I'll just let that sit there, and that is roughly 3 to 4 times the national average. We'll let that sit there as well.
And LA County has a number of jails. And
That's
obviously
the largest
a
jail
huge
system
population.
in the United States.
Okay. So it's good to know as well.
Okay. The third piece of this, there was a turnaround in 2024. However, that turnaround was based on information that Nanos presented to the Board of Supervisors that, look, a lot of these were, fentanyl overdoses, COVID overdoses, suicide, those that took their own, unalive, killed themselves, etc. But what he failed to tell everybody was his solution, his management solution, was to lock everybody down for 23 hours a day during COVID. So imagine going to jail for a misdemeanor and you are locked in your cell for 23 hours a day. That was his solution.
Chris, just point out real quick, tell people the difference between jail and a prison. Because jail, you're there awaiting your trial, and in prison, that's if you're after your sentence, that's where you're staying for your sentence.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. So the county jail serves 2 functions. Number one, the court custodial function, meaning the corrections officers are taking prisoners back and forth to court while their trials or prelims or whatever is taking place. And during those, trial situations, they're housed in the Pima County Jail. So let's say you get arrested for DUI, which is depending on the severity of it. Let's say it's a misdemeanor. You're held in the county jail if you can't make bail or bond, and you would stay there until you're presented to a court. And once you go into that court hearing, then you're released. Imagine, though, being put into a cell for DUI for 23 hours a day. Well, that causes a lot of mental health issues. And Nanos went to the Board of Supervisors and basically started to use, drugs and COVID and all this other stuff as the main reason people were dying. But he failed to tell the world that his decision to handle the problem was just to lock everybody down. And then, of course, there were staff shortages and stuff. So number 4, right now in 5/26, there are at least 3 more confirmed, those that are no longer with us. And so those numbers are 3 to 5 more, and the number keeps going up. So how do these numbers break down? Annual in custody deaths and populations. So go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, especially for people just joining us, the problem that we're talking about is, and we're going to talk about what the deaths were blamed on. They are and they were blamed on, Chris mentioned, COVID for a while, fentanyl, people who show up in jail, they get booked, they're on fentanyl, and they're withdrawing. They're going through fentanyl withdrawal, and they're not getting treated medically, and they end up dying in custody. Suicide in some cases, and then delayed medical care, which is a huge problem there.
Huge problem.
And that everyone, let me just finish this piece and we'll go into that. Everyone agrees that the jail has had major problems for years. And, Nanos has not said that there aren't problems. He's been upfront about saying what a huge crisis he's got there. Overcrowding, here are some of the problems. Overcrowding, yeah, but so are many, many jails across the country. Awful conditions, staffing shortages, lower training standards for his correctional officers.
And let's talk about that piece of the puzzle just for a second, if you don't mind. Is that okay, huh?
Okay.
Or did I get ahead of you?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Let me just finish the list.
Sure.
The mental health crisis. Jails have become like mental institutions were back in the day before they were closed. We've got the fentanyl epidemic that we've mentioned. And also, I thought this was interesting. At one point, correctional officers were smuggling drugs into the jail for the inmates. I've read different things about whether or not that's gone down a little bit. Things have been implemented where the employees are watched and searched to see if they're bringing in. I know it sounds crazy, doesn't it? I mean, to the average person, if you work in the jail, why would you sneak drugs in for the people you're watching? The bee watchers. Anyway, okay, pick it up from where you were going to go.
So let's talk about how one of his solution sets. One of his solution set was to go ahead.
Well, do you want to talk about staffing shortages first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So Sheriff Department insiders told us, they said that Nanos made the already bad staffing problem even worse. So back during COVID, Nanos mandated that the COVID shot, that everybody get the COVID shot, meaning his correctional officers. And as a result, lots of them quit.
Okay, so let's stop right there for a second. Now, let's take a realistic look at this. So he is having all these things happening in his jail system. And he says, well, the reasons it's happening is because of staff shortages. And that's what he tells the public. That's what he tells the Board of Supervisors. What he doesn't tell the Board of Supervisors is how those staff shortages occurred. And that's what Karen's talking about here. He mandated to everybody in the system that they would be vaccinated with the COVID shot. That turned into a mass exodus of corrections officers. And so his solution for that was, rather than give them, a get out of jail free card, i.e. not making it mandatory, but making it voluntary, he let them go. They all left. That created this huge gap. And that's where the majority of these incidents of death start to occur.
Well, they did start a couple years before that.
But they really exploded under that time. If we look at the
Yes.
numbers, okay,
Yeah, for sure.
they exploded. And
Yeah.
we're gonna look at the numbers. Now, so what does he do? Well, the hiring standards now get lowered.
And the training standards as well.
And the training standards, because all he wants to do is fill a gap. And so literally, you have corrections officers who graduate high school and they go to a 4 to 6 week
weeks.
training with 4 weeks.
And then 4 weeks with a correctional training officer.
So
10 weeks.
they go into the jail around hardened criminals potentially right out of high school.
That's got to be so scary for them.
That's crazy. That is absolutely nuts. All right. Now, credit to the corrections officers. Their job is extremely dangerous because it gets worse. He opens up these pods and has over 100 and something inmates in these. Some corrections officers are managing 2 pods simultaneously. Okay. And we're going to get to that as well. So where do you want to pick up from what I'm talking about there?
We can talk more about that. So a typical jail, you would think one person goes into a cell and they lock the door, right? That's generally how it is, or maybe 2 people. And I think we kind of think that for how it is in prison. So what Chris is saying, there's these open pods where the inmates can walk around. I don't know too much about it, but it's definitely not, 1 or 2 people in a locked cell. And then you've got one correction officer per pod, or sometimes he or she is watching 2 pods at the same time, which could be probably over 100 inmates.
Right. So you have one corrections officer for maybe 130 to 160 inmates. So that's 130 to 160 to 1. So what else does he do? He introduces additional tools. He introduces the tasers and he introduces mace, and that's it.
So they're not armed in there, is that right?
No, they can't have any weapons in there.
As the correctional officer.
Correct. So now you have 130 to 1 with a taser. You guys are going to see where this is going, because that taser then becomes the go-to weapon versus hands-on, which in a jail facility, hands-on is the best way to go. We used to call it gang fu. You want to get like 4 or 5 people and everybody grab a limb and hold the individual down and then restrain them. And you're going to see how this is leading up into these numbers that I'm putting on the screen here. All right. Everybody tracking me so far? And by the way, how's the poll doing? What are the numbers on the poll? Let's give you the numbers on the poll real fast.
Looks like we've got almost 3,100 votes. We've got yes, 98%, no, 2%.
Okay, so we've got 98 to 2 so far. All right, what do we got?
So we have...
Let's talk about the mortality rates and the national averages.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
So per 100,000 inmates, Pima County Jail, Bureau of Justice and Statistics, they were way above the line. You see this blue line on this chart here is the national average, okay? The blue line on the chart. Everything above that is Pima County.
Wait, what blue line? Oh yeah, down there.
You see the
broken
dotted
line.
the broken dotted line. That is the national average. Everything above that is Pima County. Now in 24 they were down, and I would say in 25 they're down a little right now still.
Well, as recently as 9 days ago, there was another death in jail. And let me take 1 second and just share with everybody what this one was about. On July 17th, so it was just 9 days ago, 43-year-old David Villavicencio, hopefully I'm saying that right, he was booked into the Pima County Detention Complex a few hours earlier on drug-related charges. He was classified as combative, and he was placed in a restraint chair after being combative during the booking process. COs, correctional officers, checked on him about 90 minutes later. They found him bleeding from the mouth and unresponsive. He was pronounced dead a short time later. So that's 90 minutes after being booked into Pima County Jail, he's pronounced dead.
So essentially, those of you who know what restraint chairs are and those who may not, what they are, basically it's a chair that has straps on it, and you can strap the legs down, you can strap the hands down. So it's just what it's called. It's a restraint chair. And you can also put what they call a spit net over the individual's head. Okay. It's a mesh net that if somebody, decides to spit, it doesn't get out onto the deputies. Now, why is that important? Because some people have diseases and they will, spit on correctional officers, and nobody wants that. Okay? But when you have tasers and you're using the taser as a weapon to get somebody into the chair, okay, that's not a good thing. Again, this goes back to this idea of taking somebody and putting them into the chair by brute force, quite frankly. You have to have 4 or 5 people do that. But their mentality right now, sheriff's mentality, not necessarily the corrections officers just trying to go home at night. But the sheriff's mentality is, you know what? Just tase them. Let's just tase them. Now, I've booked a lot of people in jails. I spent 9 years on the street before I was in, the homicide bureau. And I've, my dog, when I was a canine handler and when I was a vice detective, et cetera, and a patrol officer, well, we didn't have tasers. Tasers didn't come until, the late 90s, late 80s, 89, 90 is when taser really started to show up. Okay? And so you would just have to, talk them into, we used to say, I'd rather talk you into the car than beat you into the car. And so the art of communication was much more important than the art of electrocuting somebody, firing them up. Okay. Well, when tasers hit the street, they used to be in a glove box or the trunk of a supervisor's car. And as, the company grew and law enforcement agencies started to utilize them more and more, now they become, on the hip of each and every one of these individuals, the officers on the street. On the street, those are great tools. In the jail, not so much.
Is that because close contact makes it even worse?
It makes it worse. And plus, the deputies will hold it on longer instead of using it to, remember, the taser is used to get somebody into custody. Okay? Not when they're already in custody. And so if you think about a jail setting, Well, they're already in jail. All right. And so you're going to have to make sure that you have the tools available, i.e. shields and manpower, to take an inmate into and get them, in custody. But the problem is, once they start to get them into how they get them into the chairs, they're using the taser as the device to get them into the chair. And there have been some serious problems with that. Cardiac arrest, all kinds of stuff can happen if somebody, has that type of problem. So when you look at these numbers here and you go, okay, what's going on above this line? You've got to ask yourself, who moved the dial? And the person that moved the dial is Chris Nanos. And when we hear about his background, where he beats a prisoner with a flashlight, does it bother you as a citizen that he's zapping people in the jail? So the national benchmark, how does Pima County stack up? 167 per 100,000 national benchmark. The peak in 2021 was 624.
Are these deaths? Or is this a statistic?
Yeah, these numbers are how they stack up, statistically against the other national benchmark. The national benchmark is 167. Per
100,000 people.
Per 100,000. And Pima County is 624, approximately 3.7 times higher than the national average. That is higher than Rikers Island
in New York.
In New York, which was described as one of the roughest jails in the United States. What are the manner of death? Look at these numbers. 34% natural. The second one is really scary.
It's almost 30%.
The third one is really scary.
Well, if for people who can't see, the second one
is taking your own life. Mm-hmm. Taking your own life. The third
is equal to the other one.
How do you
29%?
Mostly overdoses. So you have to ask yourself, okay, well, if that's the case, then there has to be there's a control problem of contraband coming into the facility. Is it coming through the correctional staff? Is it coming through visitors? How's it getting into the facility that you have a 3 out of 10 problem into the facility? Why does the sheriff not know this? And why his solution for this, by the way, was to obtain 4 narcotics dogs. 4 narcotics dogs. And they're trained on fentanyl and other drugs, opioids. Okay. But wait a minute. Are the narcotics dogs, if you feel that there are staff bringing these drugs in, why isn't the staff being arrested?
That's a great point.
Why aren't we hearing about, if Nano says, well, it could be staff, it could be, visitors, it could be whatever. Okay. Well, then why don't you have controlled visiting areas and controlled staff entrance areas?
That goes back to his huge staffing issue, his problem.
That's exactly
He
right.
created it, and now he's feeding into it.
And that's where number 3 on the right side, the contributing factors. Okay.
Can you read those? Most people can't. You wanna
Yeah,
go through
his
them?
reported contributing factors is there's a high prevalence of substance use and disorders and a mental health problem. I agree with him that there's a mental health problem. That's a given. That's a given. Because back in, I think it was 1889, when President Reagan shut down all the mental health facilities across the United States, now the jail facilities become the mental health facilities. And that's not a good thing. Now you add narcotics on top of that. And there's a misnomer. People think that you can die from heroin withdrawals. You can't. You can get the Joneses and you can get the shakes and you can get the sweats and all this other stuff. You know what you can die from, though? Alcohol withdrawals, DTs, detox. Most opioids, they have to just put them in a monitor room and you just have to keep checking on them. And a lot of jail facilities have these rooms where you have to keep, the medical staff just keeps an eye on them to make sure. Or they start to wean them off, which is what they call the juice programs. Okay. And that's where, remember back in the old days, you're going to go get your cup of orange juice because, you're hammering it. Okay. And you're taking your methadone, which is a 24-hour cycle in what they call the plasma life inside of your system. You stay high for 24 hours and they put you on a juice program and then they peel you off. Okay. They peel you off carefully and slowly. Now with fentanyl, obviously that's another game here. It's very dangerous. So his solution was, we'll send them to the hospital if they have as much as a sniffle.
Well, that is one of the things that Nanos did. He changed the jail booking, situation. He changed the booking procedure, but not for the better.
Actually, it was 90 because it had to be much later than this because I was on the street. We were taking them to the hospitals, even in the late 80s. But let's double check that.
Okay. So Sheriff Nanos changed the booking procedure. And what happened was they were stopped accepting inmates without first a medical evaluation. So that means when a sheriff's deputy or an officer with Tucson Police Department brings a suspect to the jail to book, the first person they see is a nurse who does a medical eval. If anything is wrong with the person, then they're taken by that arresting officer or deputy to the hospital for further medical evaluation. So what does that mean? That means that cops would have to be at the hospital for like 3 or 4 hours at least with each suspect that they were arresting.
Yeah. So
what would that have been like for you as an arresting officer?
Well,
if you had to do that.
Let's do the math for the public. So let's say you get somebody who, you're going to book into jail with a felony. Okay. Now, you show up at the jail and the first intake officer, before they even put the band on them, because you put your hands through, the suspect puts their hand through the bars and they put an ID band on them. Then they go and the nurse comes in and does a medical eval. And they ask you a series of questions. Do you want to hurt yourself? Do you have any? ailments, yada, yada, yada. If you say yes, then they say, okay, well, give me a little more. What do you mean? And so it's like a triage, basically. And these nurses are amazing. I mean, these jail nurses, man, they're like superheroes. Okay. There goes the meatloaf. And so from there, if the nurse says, okay, yeah, you're good to go, then they can book you. And you go to the next phase. You go to the booking window. All right. At least that's how it is in San Diego. It's like that in every jail. I guarantee it. They're all carbon copies. All right. So what did Nanos say? If somebody comes to from another agency with a prisoner, and I want to keep my numbers down, I don't want these problems in my jail. So if they come in and they go like that, and the nurse goes, "What's that?" and they don't have an answer for it, they say, "Well, you're going to have to go for a deeper medical eval." And so they tell that officer, "You're going to have to transport him to the local hospital, i.e. the ER or wherever." For us, it was the emergency rooms. And you're going to have to get a doctor to sign off on what they call fit for booking, and what they call a fish slip, meaning the booking slip. We call them a fish slip. And the doctor, you're going to have to bring that paperwork back and present that to the medical staff the second time around. Okay. Well, the problem with that, you folks in Tucson, is a lot of these officers are now tied up for 2-3 hours.
Or longer in some cases.
Off the street. And so what they do is they do what they call, an OR, they own reconnaissance. They cite them and release them. And then they do what they call a long form, meaning they submit the paperwork to the district attorney's office for charges down the line. Now, honestly, how many DAs are going to look at these things and say, yeah, we're going to charge this guy? All right. Because they're looking for a win rate and they're looking to get reelected. So you end up in this cycle of, it's a round robin. It's a round robin. And by the way, you, the taxpayer, are paying for those bills. You're paying for it. Every time an officer walks in to the ER with a prisoner, the hospital is billing the county or the police agency, whoever brought them in. Okay? So the taxpayer is picking up that tab. And Nanos knows that. It's not a hit on his budget because he's not accepting them into his jail. All right. So it turns into a political football, all for the sake of the argument of, well, I didn't want this person hurt or whatever in my jail. Even though the jail is equipped with a medical facility and can handle it themselves. I mean, they're very competent and they're very capable. However, Nanos wants to make himself look better. So that's the program that he put into place. Well, here's the downside to that. Now you have criminals being released back on the street, or they're not even being arrested, and they're being coddled. And unfortunately, the downside to that is the average citizen doesn't really know this until it's too late. If we think about the guy that just shot up a whole bunch of people recently, where was that?
In Tucson, city of Tucson.
How long ago? Like a week or two ago?
Yeah, maybe a week-ish ago. week or 10 days, maybe.
So this guy had fired a rifle and shot at his employee, and the DA didn't file on him. They OR'd him. They kicked him out the door because he had, yada, yada, yada. Well, then he's out, and he goes and he does it again. And only this time it has severe consequences.
Yeah, he shot 9 people?
9 people.
Something like that.
That was the most recent situation, which would cap off what I'm trying to explain here. All right. And this is how dangerous this is, where if you're worried about, people's feelings or their nose, they got sniffy noses or whatever the deal is. Okay. We got a problem in River City.
I want to give everybody just an idea of, what we're talking about with this medical clearance. It hasn't worked. Inmates are still dying in the Pima County Jail, and there's many examples. Here's one in particular. In July of 2023, so 3 years ago, Joel Loya, he was 41. He died in custody. Well, he was medically rejected during his initial booking. And by the way, he was booked for a probation violation. Okay. So they brought him in. He was medically rejected. He wasn't able to be booked. He was taken to the hospital where he was evaluated, and then he was cleared for booking. Loya was on a detox protocol. So they bring him back to Pima County Jail. He starts vomiting. He was transferred back to the hospital where he died July 31st of 2023, 5 days after his arrest for a probation violation. An autopsy ruled his cause of death was acute pancreatitis, sudden inflammation of the pancreas, which can be life-threatening. It has many causes, including alcohol, drug use, and internal trauma. So that's just one example of, and that was considered, it's one of the deaths in the jail in 2023. So this medical clearance situation that Nanos has set up isn't working. And we know that because they're still having inmates dying at a record rate.
Yeah, I mean that's a sad situation where a guy has a probation violation. Okay, fine. So he screwed up. Okay, fine. But that's not a death sentence. I mean, this is nuts. This is absolutely nuts. I mean, even going after, streamers. Okay. You got people dying in your jails, and you're worried about a guy on YouTube who's cleaned his life up. And I mean, Alex, he knows what he's done in his life. He's trying to get his life together. And you're spending more time on that guy than you are these people dying in your own facilities. What is wrong with you? Now, Alex knows I don't make excuses for his behavior. He knows that. I respect him for that, and he respects me for my position. But my gosh, don't you have other things to do? I said that the DA would drop the cases against these individuals that were out in front of that house for Nancy Guthrie. And sure enough, they dropped the cases. And they put that guy into a situation where the deputies did not want to arrest anybody. And they put that into motion. Well, let me tell you about one other case that's going on right now in Pima County that I know on the ground. And that deals with a detective. A detective recently was ordered by a captain. What's that guy's name? Navarro, or what's that guy's name? We need to look him up.
Yeah.
Is it Navarro?
It is.
Okay. Cap Navarro, I'm on you. He ordered a detective to write a search warrant knowing there was no probable cause. Now think about that, Tucson. And you think about that, Nanos. You're worried about a YouTuber when you've got command staff ordering deputies to break the law? And you were looking for a green shirt and you hit a house knowing that green shirt wasn't there at the order of your command staff? Shame on you. You should all be investigated by the DOJ. And you should be monitored by DOJ. Because that deputy right now is on suspension. Because he failed, rightfully so, to follow that unlawful order. We're talking about civil rights violations to citizens in Tucson, Pima County specifically. When you have supervisors ordering deputies to go down in front of people's houses and tell the person they're about ready to arrest, you know, I really don't want to do this, but I'm under orders to do it. And then you have command staff telling detectives, well, write a search warrant, get a search warrant for that house. Well, sir, I don't have probable cause to do that. I don't care. Get a search warrant. And that detective says, no, I'm not going to do that. And then the captain says, well, then you're suspended. And that deputy now is on suspension. And you know who it is. And when you have a supervisor like that in a powerful position, well, no wonder Nanos is able to screw up Nancy Guthrie's investigation. This is a problem. It is a problem. And we're just getting started because you're messing up our profession. You're messing up the good deputies on your department who are doing the right thing for the right reasons. And the Board of Supervisors should look into this latest one that I just mentioned. Just reach out and find that deputy. Actually, just go ask the captain why he suspended a deputy recently for failing to follow an order. And then go ask the deputies who arrested the YouTubers, which subsequently the DA looked at it and go, no way, guys, no probable cause here. I'm dismissing these cases. These types of things are not a good look because the world is watching now. This is a different game. It is a different time.
So getting back to the inmate deaths.
Yeah.
So this situation is so serious, was serious, and continues to be serious that the local PBS station in Tucson did a whole expose on this. Excuse me. And we're going to show you a clip of part of the video. It's on YouTube. You guys can go watch it for yourself. But it really underscores the problem, what we're dealing with. And they sat down and confronted Sheriff Nanos about this. And you know what? His reaction is quite alarming. Do you want to play that or do you want to wait?
Yeah, no, let's get to it. Let me get over here. Well, let me show you this slide here because this is a very powerful slide. These are the names of all the individuals that have lost their lives in the Pima County jail systems since 2017.
It's a lot of people.
There are a lot of people here, you know, hanging.
And this was from local Tucson media, and they got this from the medical examiner's office.
Now, look at this, guys and gals. This has to stop. This has to stop. I mean, there are 61 something deaths here. Serial killers don't even have 61 something deaths over a 10-year period. Think about that. Why is this happening? It's happening because of incompetent management. When you put a person in charge and give them the power to take away your liberty. That's the one thing I learned as a law enforcement officer many years ago. This badge, that meaning the badge we wear, okay, is a badge of trust. It's a badge that says this represents the trust of the court, the trust of the victims, the trust of the person you're arresting, and the trust that you can carry it correctly and do it correctly. It's not about power, where you wear 4 stars on your collar. I know a lot of great managers in law enforcement. I've worked for a lot of them. John Lamb's a good example. But when you take that trust and you violate it this many times, on top of all that you did before you got there, and then you put your minions underneath you to tell them to arrest people without probable cause, and then think you don't care? Well, guess what? I care. And I'm going to call you out on it.
Well, you bring up something very important that really the public needs to really understand. This erosion of the public trust, you can't get it back. And the leadership that Nanos has shown has caused great disrepair, if you will. There's no transparency, very little. We'll talk more about that. Distrust by the public is a really awful thing. It's like once the genie's out of the bottle, you can't put it back in. And it shows itself every single time a deputy goes on the street to make an arrest to help clean up the neighborhood or the community. And it makes other people's job really, really that much more difficult. The distrust of public officials is awful for a community. So this erosion has a lot of repercussions that people don't think about. And to have the public confidence takes a long time to build. And when you have an elected official come in there, like a bull in a china shop and destroy it, it can take years for a community to get it back. And, it's one of these intangible things, but it's everywhere. It's in conversation between people. You want to have faith and confidence in your public officials. If you don't, your society is degraded. Your community is degraded. Does it have to be that way? Be careful who you elect.
Yes. And well, what happens is, to answer this question and to answer the other one about what are the statistics between Pima and, Maricopa, et cetera, Pima's winning. Unfortunately. Yeah. And to answer this question, if you follow an unethical order or an unlawful order, you are opening up yourself to civil liability. Now, the only way you can cover yourself is you have to put it into your report that you were ordered to make that arrest or to do something just like the deputy did when he went down and he arrested the YouTubers. Now think about this, okay? And trust me, if somebody did something wrong, I'm the first one to tell you, gosh, we got a problem. All right. But if you have national media and real fast, and why this is important to understand the totality of this. When you have national media in front of Nancy Guthrie's house for 2 months, maybe 2.5 months, they're setting up tents. Everybody is there. There's a 4-foot easement that is public property. Guess what? That's called the First Amendment. And your responsibility as the law enforcement agency is to make sure their rights are protected under the First Amendment. Now, let's say that national media decides to go cover another story and they leave their tents to a bunch of citizen journalists and say, hey, you can have this tent. We're leaving. But they want to stay there. I'm not even going to debate for what, because it doesn't matter. It does not matter. And they stay there, not harming anybody, not, maybe being, an eyesore to the local community or whatever. Well, the national media for 2 months was an eyesore as well. And people were complaining to the sheriff. Okay. Well, you don't get the right to say, you know what? We don't like these people here anymore. So therefore, we're going to go down and start arresting people and making up, charges to fit, i.e. nuisance charges and all this other stuff, and then go after people and say, you know what, we're getting complaints from all the neighbors. Because a good defense attorney is going to say, well, haven't you been getting complaints for like 4 months? Well, yeah, but you're here and they're gone. Okay, well, what if they come back? What happens if tomorrow they find Nancy buried in the backyard of her house and 10,000 more national media folks show back up? Are you still going to arrest me then? You see, that would be what the question would be. Under the First Amendment, freedom of the press, freedom of speech. It doesn't matter if you're a citizen journalist or if you've gone to school like Karen or work for the LA Times. Okay. You have the right to stand on the same property with a camera and film anything in a public open forum. That's the United States of America. I didn't make the rules. That's the rules. But in this situation, Nanos made a decision. He ordered his staff to order their staff to go do something. And so what did they do? They go down there and they start hooking people up and charging them with nuisance, all this other stuff. In one case, they go hands-on. And the guy is pushing back and going, why are you arresting me? What did I do? And he's a diabetic, by the way. So we don't know if he's having a diabetic, coma or incident, or he's about ready to, go nuts, because sometimes that's what diabetics do. And that's called Graham versus Connor. There's actually a Supreme Court decision about that. If somebody is having, a diabetic problem, okay, and they hook this guy up and they charge him with resisting and all this other stuff. Okay. Yeah, you can see on video where he's pushing back. Fine. But what was the reason you hooked him up in the first place? Because that's going to be what the courts are going to look at. And when you see situations like that, you go, wait a minute. There are 4 incidents here. 3 of them get thrown out. And one of them, They don't like the way the guy looks. I don't know.
So let's bring this back to the inmate situation.
Right.
Okay. Because all of this is all under Sheriff Nanos' leadership. All of this is, they're all intertwined. And it's this idea that they can kind of do what he wants. He can do what he wants.
And
I mean, think about it. He got away for 40 years with nobody knowing about beating the prisoner in El Paso Police Department till it came out in March, just a couple months ago. And then all hell broke loose in terms of him and his job. The Board of Supervisors called him in, essentially, and said, explain this. And he did through his attorney, and it wasn't satisfactory for many people. Now, the board decided not to fire the sheriff. They decided, remember? And they referred the perjury item that we talked about at the top of the show to the Arizona Attorney General. She, we understand, has completed an investigation and is preparing to make a decision on whether or not to indict him, Sheriff Nanos, on a perjury charge. Right?
yeah.
Okay, so all these things are commingled. They're all under his leadership, and a lack of transparency and not being forthright with the public and having this I don't care attitude and kicking the can down the road. All of this comes to bear. We see this in the Nancy Guthrie investigation. We've been seeing this for months. And we saw this right from the beginning at the very first press conference, right? So,
Yeah, and why? And this is so important what Karen's talking about, because if we think about what this guy's MO is, and we see this, you're going to see this here in a second. Okay, we're setting this up. And you see what his people are willing to do. And they're willing to do it because they're put into a no-win situation. They're put into a circumstance that if they don't do it, and there is a deputy right now that was just suspended, the one I was talking about earlier, by this captain. This captain told him, you will get a search warrant. And he said, sir, I can't. I don't have probable cause to go search that house. I need that to go to a court. And the captain said, I don't care, get the search warrant. He refused to do it. Good for him. And what happened? They suspended him. Right now, he's on suspension. Now, does this make sense when a second deputy is told, you want the same result? No, sir. You better get a search warrant. And then they hit that house. And guess what? They don't find anything. They're looking for a green shirt because the victim's dog bit the suspect. And the suspect's in custody. They booked his car. And the shirt was probably in the car. And they didn't do the search warrant on the car. They did a search warrant on a friend's house that he said he was at. See, I know Navarro. I know the story. Okay? And guess what? They don't find it. So now that deputy that wrote that second search warrant without the probable cause to find that shirt, okay, is liable. Is liable.
now this does not bode well for the Nancy Guthrie investigation. What do I mean by that? This is the same culture that is going on with the Nancy Guthrie investigation. I'm not saying that people are getting search warrants illegally for the Nancy Guthrie case. I'm saying the leadership with Nanos, for sure for the Nancy Guthrie case, for this, what you're talking about, for the inmates that have been killed, that have died in the Pima County jail, it's the same culture. It's the same, well, I'll call it a corrupted culture. That's what has me worried about the Nancy Guthrie case, if it's ever going to be solved. If Nanos had left the homicide team and the people, even though they were inexperienced, we were told, to do their job, work well with the FBI, I would have more confidence. Everything is routed through the sheriff. And to underscore this, I just want to talk about transparency for a minute. We know that with the Nancy Guthrie investigation, the sheriff stopped giving press conferences after the first week. It's now been 6 months. He does these one-off interviews with local media, and he says a bunch of contradictory things. No one's able to pin him down to get a straight answer. He's given like 2 answers for every question that the media has about the case. He hasn't been transparent. Now, for this inmate death situation, let's look at how he has not been transparent with the jail deaths. Some of the inmate deaths have not been reported to the media or the public for days.
Hang on.
Know all the things we know, and we still need to know what you know, because there's something out there that we don't know.
Okay, go ahead. Thanks, Sheriff.
In at least one case, not even the inmate's lawyer was told that the inmate died in the cell, in the jail.
Now, do the math on that.
Yeah. It's shocking. It's really shocking. But there's, again, this goes to the culture. Why is there no transparency? In many cases, deceased inmates have been misidentified to the public. Wrong name, wrong age, wrong whatever. The family of one young man who died behind bars was not notified for months. For months. I'm not making this up. This has all been widely reported. And even when the media had called the sheriff's department or his public information office about a jail death, they are put off. They're not given information. Totally, totally unacceptable.
Yeah, I mean, and imagine being the family of one of these individuals and not even knowing that your loved one has been gone for weeks.
Yeah, it's completely unacceptable.
I mean, who can do that? Who can do that
and get away with it?
And that's why this email is running by right up here. You have a chance right now, Tucson, to talk to this AG and say, indict this guy for perjury. You have a chance right now. The Board of Supervisors has recommended the AG indict him for perjury. If you don't do it, you're stuck.
For another 2 years with this guy.
And he's going to keep doing it. And it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. Okay? These people deserve your action. All these names, because let me show you one of the things that this guy is up to.
Let me set this up again if you're just joining us. The local Tucson PBS station, they did a really good expose documentary on the deaths in Pima County Jail. This reporter that you're going to see in this clip, his name is John Washington. Shout out, kudos to him.
Great job.
He did a great job. You'll see him. He sits down with Nanos, and he's trying to press him for answers about what he's got on body cam, about what's going on in the jail, Sheriff Nanos' jail.
Okay, if you're in the state of Arizona, if you're just somebody from Arizona, and quite frankly, anywhere in the world, email the AG with that number going ahead, because
it's an email. It's not a phone number.
Watch this. And if this doesn't change your mind, Lord forbid, in any way, shape, or form, if somebody in your family ends up in the Pima County jail system under the leadership of Chris Nanos. Watch this.
The ultimate authority of the jail rests with the sheriff, Chris Nanos. But as we were doing this reporting, everything we uncovered, we realized we needed to go back to him to understand whether or not what we were hearing was true. So we've heard a lot of stories about people being abused or beaten up by the guards. We got some footage of a person who was multiply tased and was badly beaten up in order to give him a shot. And we wanted to show that to the sheriff and ask him what he thought. We recently got some incident report and a body cam footage of an incident that happened in February where someone was in getting court-ordered treatment. And I wondered if I could show you the video
Sure.
that we got, and just to see how you assess it and to help us walk through like what you see when you watch the video.
Is this at my jail or where's
This
this?
is your jail, yeah.
Give me the taser. After the taser, go in, go right behind me. Right.
Oh, fuck, we could get tased. Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind.
Skip ahead just a little bit. There's just 3 tasers, and then about right here.
You're breaking my finger. Stop.
Stop resisting that.
I'm not resisting anymore.
Walk up.
All right, dude, you're breaking my arm. All right, big boy.
So where he gets the shot.
Ready for the shot? I'm not moving. Yeah.
Yep.
So it goes on for a few more minutes. You know, we walk down the hall. And just kind of curious your reaction, you know, given the challenges of someone refusing treatment. How you know, was the officer's use of force appropriate there?
Well, one, I don't know enough of what you're showing me. You're just showing the fight.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened prior to that. For me to comment on what they did there would be inappropriate because I don't see the pretext. What happened before? And so I think that those COs did what they needed to do to constrain him. You know, tasers are just another tool. It's all about trying to gain compliance and gain control. Mm-hmm. And it was affected.
So I mean, just again, like you think that is within the realm of appropriate the strategy
with what you show me, and you're told here's a court order, get him injected. Mm-hmm. They have to do that, mm-hmm. and they have to do it in the safest manner, not just for the inmate, but for themselves as well, mm-hmm. and of course the medical staff.
According to a use of force review.
So let's talk about this real fast.
Okay, and we probably should have put a warning that it was disturbing video coming up. I watched that and my stomach turns. I think it's sickening watching that.
Well, there's a couple things here. First of all, he says tasers are a tool. Number one. All right. That's exactly right. They are a tool. But do you use that tool first or do you wait for the resistance? They went in with the intent to taser him. They say it at the door. We're going to taser him. He's sitting on the bed. You have 4 deputies coming in. Why do you need a taser? I've been in that situation 100 times on the street. If the individual starts to comply or resist just a little, and you can take him down, then that's what you do. That's what they do, okay? The fact that there's a court order to give him a shot, that's fine. You have a job to do, the deputies needed to do, or the corrections officers needed to do what they needed to do. That's not a problem, okay? The problem is, again, this attitude that Nanos has, where he makes excuses for absolutely everything. And you know where we heard this first? We heard it in the press conference with Nancy Guthrie. Remember what he said, honey?
Yeah, he said, I don't expect you. I expect you to hold me to my word.
And
Remember that?
Yep. And he said, I'm not used to this. And then he also said, well, we'll let the court sort that out.
Right. When he was asked about, I don't even know if it was the mat, but yeah, it was about, or no, I think it was about when they arrested or when they made those, the stops.
Yeah.
For Carlos and then the other person.
Do you guys all remember that? Do you remember where he just said, he just blew it off like, yeah, who cares? Okay.
We'll let the court sort that out. As opposed to, gosh, I should probably be following the law.
Do you see the same thing setting up here? Go arrest those YouTubers. For what? Just go do it. Go give this guy a shot. Okay. No problem. And taser him when you need to. Okay. Go get a search warrant without probable cause. Well, I don't have probable cause. Just go do it or you're suspended. Okay. There's a theme here. Okay. Take the cafeteria money out of the funds so the FBI can start a RICO investigation. Do you think we should do that, Sheriff? It's been going on for years. I'm keeping it moving. Not a problem. Okay. Oh, by the way, I lied on my application because I really did have 37 days off in my career, and I beat the crap out of people. Put one of them in ICU where it was recommended I be prosecuted and sent to prison alongside of these other individuals.
But instead, he was allowed to resign.
Go get the 3 YouTubers down there and put the 4th one in a position where he has to resist because we don't like the way the person looks, because that's what the neighbors say. You see where I'm going here on this thing? Okay. And look at the results finishing this piece of the puzzle.
Conducted by the Sheriff's Department, the officers' actions were deemed as reasonable and appropriate. Despite guards punching him a dozen times in the face and multiply tasing him, Brooks was charged with assaulting staff.
Now think about this. The guy that's in custody, they're going to give him a shot. The deputy beats him, hits him 12 times. They taser him multiple times. And guess what they end up doing? They charge that guy.
Unbelievable.
Sound familiar, Alex? The YouTuber. They put him in a position to where they could charge him. Guess what? This seems to be a pattern. This seems to be a pattern at the behest of the sheriff. You can't make this stuff up.
Disruptive conduct, and 4 other violations. We reached out to the sheriff again for comment, but he did not respond.
No surprise there.
So, thoughts?
Yeah. Pretty unbelievable.
We can't make this stuff up, guys. You cannot make this stuff up. We are seeing a pattern here. And if anybody who has connections with DOJ or the Civil Rights Division there in Phoenix, the FBI, please show them this video. They need to get in there and monitor this agency one more time. They need to hear from citizens that this sheriff has walked all over. You need to have there needs to be an oversight of this sheriff and his agency. Not all the deputies. There are probably, I would guarantee you, 8 out of 10 deputies doing the right thing. It's the command staff. And you know what was an irony that Karen pointed out today? The lieutenant who was running against him to become sheriff, where did he transfer her?
And that's Lieutenant Heather Lapin. He transferred her to the jail.
Where there's the most liability and exposure. He put her in a no-win situation. He not only prevented her from winning by 500 votes.
Well, he prevented her from having a fair and honest race against him. Because remember, you guys, 3 weeks before, he put her on admin leave, which was essentially like a house arrest. And lo and behold, he ends up winning the election by a handful of votes. And then he gets sued for civil rights violations. Again, that she sues him. And then he allegedly lies under oath. And now we have the perjury matter that's at the hands of the state attorney general's office right now. And decisions are going to be made very soon of whether or not Sheriff Nanos is indicted on a perjury charge. If you hold office in Arizona, you cannot be a convicted felon. If there is no indictment, and once again, the law, is bent for him, he's in there another 2 years until his term is up.
And still to this day, nobody but YouTubers
are pointing this out.
And well, the press did. They did a great job.
Yeah, they did. The local press
PBS.
did.
You can go see this on PBS. And what's the gentleman's name? Washington?
John Washington.
John
the reporter.
Washington. He did a great expose on this whole thing. It's really, really, really interesting.
Now, while we're wrapping this up, I want to talk about solutions. And because I don't want to leave you guys thinking this is, no one's talking about this in Tucson. No, everybody, the public officials in Tucson know that this has been an ongoing issue and an ongoing problem. I don't know if they all watched that PBS special and actually saw the footage that we just did, which is highly disturbing. I'm hoping they did.
And there's more on that PBS special.
Yeah, there's a lot more.
We couldn't show it all.
But, there's an advocacy group. They're called No Jail Deaths. These are the family and friends of inmates who've died at the jail. They continue to be vocal and speak out in the community. The Board of Supervisors has had several so-called blue ribbon commissions to examine the jail death problem in depth. There's different ideas. Sheriff Nanos has floated the idea, well, let's build a new jail. Let's charge the taxpayers a half cent for this so-called jail tax. And by the way, the number is about $850 million plus to build a new jail. And you guys always know that number always goes up. And not only that, it would take years. And, but if you're going to transport the same leadership to the new jail, then what's the point of having a new jail? There was also talk of building a new 3,100 bed medical facility adjacent to the jail to address the mental health issue and crisis and drug abuse cases. But nobody can agree on what to do. And literally nothing has been done at the government official level about this.
It's just crazy. I've not seen it. Yeah, I was talking to John and a couple of my other buddies, and we're like scratching our heads going, you got to be kidding me. Can it get worse? But you have more information, don't you? You couldn't stick this all into one program or did you?
There is a lot out there. There's a lot. And, so some people have asked, well, what does this have to do with the Nancy Guthrie investigation? Well, it does. There's a crossover. The inmate deaths in Pima County Jail and the Nancy Guthrie investigation Um, they both affect public trust, political scrutiny, and confidence in, or lack thereof, in Sheriff Nanos. The public confidence in the sheriff's department, if you already knew about the inmate death, inmate death situation, then when you look at the Nancy Guthrie case, you may not have confidence that her case can be solved. You've got tons of questions about transparency. Sheriff Nanos is not transparent. He's not transparent about the jail deaths to the media, the public, or even inmates' attorneys or families. And I would argue that he's definitely not transparent about anything more with the Nancy Guthrie case. He'll give a few one-off interviews to local media, but again, he's contradicting himself. And people who already distrust Nanos because of the jail controversy, they're going to be more likely to question any investigative decision he makes, any communications he gives in the Nancy Guthrie case. So they really do kind of overlap, There's increased scrutiny of his leadership, of course. I mean, there should have been increased scrutiny with Nanos during the election process, but none of it came out. It came out during, of course, the Nancy Guthrie investigation. And I mean, we can go down the list of why people don't have confidence in Nanos. If the jail situation and if his lying on his previous resume were not enough, we can just let's go down the list of things that we've seen in the last several months with the Guthrie case. Nanos admitted that he released the crime scene too soon. We know that. He kept the FBI out for the first 4 days, the most critical, crucial early hours of the investigation. We know that from the FBI director. He said that. Nanos sent the DNA to his lab, not the FBI lab. They literally had a plane on standby, right? That goes to communication and control and not wanting to send the DNA to the feds. He wanted to send it to his lab. And again, nothing wrong with his lab, but again, it's in the misstep category. They never searched the community for porch guy. I mean, I know some YouTubers or some streamers were out handing out porch guy flyers in that Estevan Park area we visited.
Who, Tucson 857, that guy's out there. All Juice is out there. I mean, these guys are out there doing what the sheriff should be doing.
But the homicide investigators need to be doing this. That's the point. It's not going on. And again, it all reflects with Nanos's leadership.
The email's right up above, running on a ticker.
Yeah. Nanos said in one interview to local media, he's no longer talking with the family. That sent Chris over the edge. I mean, to this day, it's like, why is he not talking to the family? What happened? We don't get a straight answer. No transparency there. Nanos is reportedly micromanaging the homicide team when he's never worked a murder. We know that. He's for sure not letting his public information officer do his job. Everything has to be routed through Nanos, and they either don't get back to you, they don't respond. And then I was thinking about what reporter Brianna Whitney shared when she was talking about, she released a few days ago the full context of the first ransom note, and she did it on Crime Junkie, where she works. And she said within the first week, it was around 10 o'clock. She was in, she's Phoenix media, but she was in Tucson. They were going to air, and they wanted to ask Nanos a follow-up question about the DNA. And do you remember what Nanos responded back on a text?
I forget.
He said, do you know what time it is?
Get over it or something?
Give it a rest.
Give it a rest.
Give it a rest. It's like, you gotta be kidding me. Who does that?
That sent you up
that
the,
sent me
that
over
sent
the,
her
I was
up
like,
the wall.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe Brianna hung on to that for 6 months and just shared it now. Doesn't surprise us. And these things have contributed to broader questions about departmental management under Nanos. Again, this is not, the rank and file, we believe, are doing their level best. They got into police work not to make a lot of money. They want to help the community, and their hearts are in the right place. Nanos, his leadership has been an unmitigated disaster. And in our research, in talking to people about this, one insider told us, quote, "It's safer to be outside the Pima County Jail than inside due to all the documented problems." I mean, if that's not scary, I don't know what is.
Well, and if you think about the whole picture here, this individual is who Nancy saw standing over her. What does it take for a law enforcement agency to say, she's not in that house right now? Let's get out on the street and find out where this guy is or who this guy is, instead of waiting for the DNA to come back. Why not be proactive and get on with it?
Well, and to your point, Chris, that DNA could come back belonging to a family member.
Correct.
That's not going to provide any clue as to who Porch Guy is.
And it won't change a thing. In fact, it will set them back to square one. And I talked about this last night on the lab, about how this whole thing's going to come, I think, full circle. I've been saying it from day one.
What do you mean full circle?
Well, you need to be proactive. If you want to find this guy, you just can't wait for the technology side of things. And the problem with Nanos is he has said it from day one. Technology will solve this crime. No, that is not a true statement. Technology will assist. What will solve this crime is the willingness to get out there and find out who this person is, to compare this person's DNA with the DNA that's coming back. Don't wait. Go get it. Get out there. I don't think she's far in terms of, and our audience knows, I'm not of the belief that she is alive. I'm of the belief that this gentleman here, and I only call him a gentleman because he's not, don't misunderstand what I mean by that. This person, this evil person, knows where she is. And we need to find out who this person is. And the people that know who this person is are the same people in the jails that Nanos is tasing and beating, and we're reporting on tonight.
It's a really good point.
There's a nexus between the street and those that go to jail. And those that go to jail for different reasons, right? If they have drug problems or whatever, guess what? There's a lot of people who have drug addictions who, when they're clean, are really good people. But they suffer. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not making excuses for crimes that they commit. but we don't ever look at what got this person into that situation in the first place. And I've shared this many times on our program here, where there's people on the street that don't want to be there themselves, but they have addiction problems. Those are the kind of folks you need to be talking to. You notice there's $1,200,000 reward, and not a single person has stepped forward and say, I'll take that. If that is not a symphony being heard around the world that the reward may not work, then I don't know what is. And that may tell us something, as much as nobody wants to hear it. It may be closer than people think. I don't know. I can tell you this, we have not, and the sheriff has not, and the investigators have not identified this guy yet. Yeah, I mean, going to the streets is removing him. I love your thought process, but it won't remove him. What will remove him is that email address right above you, right above us. They have an opportunity right now the decision will be made within the next 10 days of whether or not this attorney general is going to indict him. Now, that's the window right now. If we've got over 10,600 people here right now in this stream, if every one of you hit that email and said, we want Sheriff Nanos indicted for perjury, the power will be in your hands. Because that AG is also an elected official. And if they do nothing with clear evidence that this guy lied on his resume, and
the perjury matter was under oath for a civil lawsuit during a deposition.
And he lied on his resume.
Yes.
And that's just a couple of things that we have found. I mean, we did a whole program on this.
We've done multiple programs on his background.
Why does this matter? Because when they do get the suspect and Nanos has been discredited, guess what? You're not going to put that guy on if you're the defense now. You'd put him on for your defendant, for your guy, if he was the sheriff.
Right. I mean, I'm just saying hypothetically, if the sheriff was indicted and had to step down,
you're
that
good.
Could be a real boon for the
Nancy Guthrie case.
Investigation.
That's a kicker, man.
Now you've got a better chance
of winning
because you could explain all the missteps the first week.
Because he was a dirtbag.
It's the dirtbag defense.
You know?
Yeah. Your chances of getting a prosecution just probably went up.
You don't even need this
guy. To some extent.
Yeah. Right now, he's in the hands of the defense, whoever hurt Nancy Guthrie. He's in their hands when they get that guy. Let's take him out of the hands of the defense and make him useless. Because there's not a defense attorney that's going to put him on as a character witness for their guy who may have harmed Nancy Guthrie. But they'll put him on to destroy the investigation. So let's take that tool away from him. And the AG right now can do that.
She has the power.
She has the power. She has the power. And you have the power. If you live in the state of Arizona and you're watching this program tonight, you can make a difference.
What about if people live in other states?
Absolutely.
Would the Arizona Attorney General not take that into consideration?
Put the pressure on them, everybody. Put the pressure on them. Send Kelly the same concept.
Saying what to Mark Kelly?
We want him gone.
Yeah, but what can Mark Kelly do?
He's a senator.
But he's an elected official, just like Nanos.
And that's exactly the point. That politicians don't like
Controversy
or
especially when it's about themselves.
And especially when you brought a box of donuts. And I agree. Look at the meatloaf in the background. He is so
Poor
cute.
buddy.
He is so cute. He's such a nut job. And thank you guys for loving him as much as we love him. He is an absolute lunatic.
In the best possible way. We wouldn't know, anyway. Take some questions. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you so much. Esmeralda, let's see. Love your numerous videos exposing the corruption. Thanks, Chris and Karen, for spreading awareness. Praying that together we create a huge ripple effect he doesn't expect. Absolutely. We have the power. Wendy says, I'll go to my grave thinking No Nads was either involved or covering up something. Wendy Reagan says, hats off for your dedication, Chris and Karen. Thank you.
That's a great comment, Wendy. And one thing I learned about my sweetheart many, many years ago, a lot of this obviously is her tenacity. I got to tell you, I'm a bulldog, okay? But she's a bulldog times 5. Whenever somebody would tell her no as a journalist, I'd be like, well, that's not gonna end right.
One of the reasons I love going into journalism is because I wanted to help. And there is the power of the pen. I was print journalism. And, in a situation like this, when you can bring awareness of a huge problem, and I would say Sheriff Nanos' leadership is a huge problem. And we didn't know any of this until Nancy Guthrie went missing. And we, like everybody else, started to dig into this case. And we keep finding more. We keep peeling back the layers of the onion. We're not in Tucson. We don't live there. And I'm sure people in the community may already be aware of all this. Some people may not be. But this is what journalism does. This is what journalists do. And kudos to the local media, because a number of them have covered Nanos in the way he deserves to be covered. And that's bring out the truth, whether or not he likes it or not. I mean, almost every elected official I've ever covered never wanted to be interviewed. They don't want to be questioned. You have to do your job as a reporter and press them. And in something like this, knowing Nanos' background, he didn't even qualify to be a Pima County Sheriff's deputy back in 1986 or 84, whenever it was. I have to go look. Whenever they hired him, they should have called El Paso PD, heard what happened, gotten copies of his personnel record, and said, thank you very much, Mr. Nanos, we're not hiring you. But that's not what happened. Fast forward, 40 years later, here we are with the Nanos effect. And we have to report on it. And you guys need to know about this. And, let the chips fall where they may. All we can do is we report, you decide. We can share this information with you. It's public. If you sit down and do an in-depth search online, you're going to find all this as well. But it's up to us to bring it to you guys. And this definitely figures into the Nancy Guthrie investigation. All of it does.
It certainly does. And, we have an opportunity. When I say we, you, the public has an opportunity right now to actually kind of shift the tide. Karen and I were thinking, how, if this guy's in the picture and they make an arrest, man, how's the DA, how's the U.S. attorney, whoever's going to handle it? How are they going to get around Nanos, the Nanos effect? Because I've always been concerned that if they put this guy up on the stand, the defense, or even the prosecution in front of a jury, and the defense lays out, if they can get it in, they lay it out, what this guy's track record and background and all this other stuff. I mean, it could be a disaster. Because if they set that credibility in front of a jury, and starting with him from the top down, by the time they get to that case agent that's worked really hard on this case, juries do really crazy things. And the defense only needs one individual, whereas the prosecution needs all 12. So he's a boat anchor. He's a boat anchor. Well, if you can get rid of this boat anchor right now, because the Board of Supervisors has done their job to say, you know what? We think this guy has committed a crime. Now, that's not us speaking. That's not Karen and Chris McDonough. This is the Board of Supervisors right there in Pima County.
They referred it to the state AG.
It's your elected officials.
And it should also be noted, in case you're wondering what happened to the recall effort, the recall effort failed, not for a lack of trying. The person that had started the recall effort and was collecting signatures, I read, had collected something in the neighborhood of 30,000 signatures. Well, they needed like 121,000 signatures in order to go through the steps to get this back on the ballot. We said from the beginning, that is such a long shot. It's really difficult to do. But weighing in with your opinion on an email to the state attorney general, who has the case file on her desk, whether or not to indict Sheriff Nanos on a perjury charge, where it seems pretty clear cut based on all the information that was released to the public in the media. The power is in your hands. We don't have to wait for 121,000 signatures that didn't happen. I mean, they were like, 80,000 signatures shy. And that was just within the county, Pima County. Unfortunately for Nanos, the internet's worldwide. YouTube is worldwide. And anybody can send an email and weigh in. Now she's going to make her own decision, the attorney general, but to Chris's point earlier, politicians weigh heavily public opinion, obviously.
Yeah, I love this sassy Karen as well.
Thank you, Wendy.
And now think about, here's one other last consideration to what, kind of dovetailing on what Karen was saying, this idea of there are 30,000 signatures that were collected. If any of you who signed that sends an email tonight, you get a double whammy here. If the AG woke up tomorrow morning with 30,000 emails in her in-basket, the same people that signed that petition to get him recalled, if you did the same thing tonight, and now your voice is being heard. It's being heard. And that's the power that you hold. And all you're doing is you're dovetailing into the principle of your Board of Supervisors who saw something that didn't look right. And they came to a decision and said, hey, we think he did something wrong. We've got to remove him before more happens. remember, that's why they did this. That's why they sent it to the Attorney General. They're worried about liability.
Yeah, they're all elected officials too, the Board of Supervisors.
And so that liability now can be managed by you, the people. You can manage this and get a new sheriff in there, one who's honest and one who will do the right thing and clean this problem up, and who could get on the stand in Nancy Guthrie's case and say, well, that was Sheriff Nanos and we got rid of him. I am in charge now. And this is what we did, A, B, C, and D. And now the defense's hands are tied. Their hands are tied. And that's justice for Nancy. That's justice for Nancy, because in all honesty, if, the question was, well, who shut the case down? Who shut the scene down? Well, that was a decision Sheriff Nanos made. I didn't make that decision.
And we cannot emphasize what a critical decision that was.
It was huge.
That was the single worst decision from a homicide investigation standpoint, an abduction standpoint, a kidnapping case standpoint, to do that, because it contaminated the crime scene.
It's horrible.
Because they had the media going up there. They had the pizza delivery guy.
Yeah,
the
Brianna
pool
said
guy
there were
showed up.
just tons of people walking up on that porch.
And she's a fairly seasoned reporter.
She's a good
She
reporter.
said it felt wrong. Something didn't feel right to her, knowing that this case was 24 or 40. She got there at 48 hours. She shares, 2 days into it, and all the media walked up. Anybody could walk up. They saw Nancy's blood on the front porch, and they're going, wait, how are you not containing the scene? How are you allowing us to do this? It didn't feel right then, and it's really bad in hindsight. Awful.
Yeah, and the other thing we can do, if you wouldn't mind, which Karen and I, would ask that you send this to all your friends on your social media networks. Let them watch this. Let them see what we're seeing, what you're seeing. And put the word out there and have them write emails. We can do this. I really believe that we can do this because right now we've been told, specifically, this is a critical time right now. The next week, up to two, the decision will be made by the AG whether or not they're going to indict him.
Thank you, Marnie.
So this is it. This is our window. And I'm going to be pounding this window all next week until we get 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 emails into the AG's office that says it is time to remove Chris Nanos. Because what will happen, it will be a domino effect. All the other minions who were ordering deputies to make false arrests, to tase people in the jails, to tell detectives, you're going to violate this person's civil rights, I don't care. And by the way, that's what happened. I will go to a deposition and tell the truth if I was ever asked. That somebody told me, and I would even tell who that person was in a deposition for that deputy. Because the right thing needs to be done.
It has to be done, or we don't have a criminal justice system. We have anarchy.
We have total anarchy. That's a great point. And you know what? It's time that good people start standing back up and saying enough.
Yeah. And you know what? An email is a very simple, non-threatening way to get your voice heard.
Yeah, it's 1 million, but 1.2 with 200,000 was the other piece that was, remember there was
Thank you, Maverick.
200,000 and then Savannah added $1 million. So that turns out to 1.2.
I actually thought it was 250,000 and then the 1 million.
Is it
Does anybody remember that?
I think it was at 1.25 then.
I thought the FBI did 50,000.
Thank
I thought
you.
a private citizen did 200,000. And then, if I'm not mistaken, for that. And then, of course, Savannah, 1 million.
Yeah, it's definitely over $1 million. I guess we'll be able to say that specifically, but I know there was
You guys get the point.
Yeah, the FBI, threw some change on top of that. But here's the sad part though, that nobody's collected it.
Well, let me ask you this: as a seasoned homicide investigator, you've worked 300 plus murders.
I married so far up.
Even just in the last 10 years, the homicides that you have reviewed and have been involved with, just for the Cold Case Foundation, how many times have you seen a reward that was actually for information leading to the arrest for a homicide? How many times have you seen somebody collect it that you know of?
0.
You know which case I'm thinking of? The U.S. Marshals was looking for that scumbag who killed Crystal Mitchell, Josephine's sweet daughter.
Right.
Was there a reward money attached to that? Because they got some intel. I think he was down in Central America.
50,000.
And the U.S. Marshals were able to apprehend him. He killed Crystal Mitchell in San Diego, and then he went on the lam for 6 years?
Yep.
And they caught him, and it was through a tip. And I just wonder if there was a reward and if it was that person got it.
I don't know. We'll have to ask Josephine what the result of that was. And if Josephine, if you're in the chat, maybe you can help.
But to your point, it's pretty rare. It's
rare.
pretty rare to have over $1 million reward. And, but I guess it's pretty rare to have people claim it.
I can't think of a single case. To be honest with you, I can't think of a case where somebody, picked up the phone and said, "Hey, I'm calling because I have information. It's solid. And how do I collect the reward?" I mean, does it happen? I'm sure somewhere with Crime Stoppers and all the other stuff out there. I'm sure somewhere, $500, $1,000 or whatever in the inner cities, yada, yada. But I mean, for the most part, why? I mean, there's $1 million there. Why are you asking for one Bitcoin worth $60,000?
That never made sense.
That's
That
just a
never added
scam.
up.
That's
Didn't
just
make
a scam.
sense. Yeah.
And the fact that there is $1 million sitting there is real problematic. There is a reward also for $10,000 from the Jeweler Association. What do you think about that? I don't know. Did Annie get hold of her association and ask them to put a reward up? Because she's a jeweler. I know the theory of the guy next door with the cartels and the mines and all this other stuff. But the problem is, if they're looking for that guy, why didn't they just go to his house the multiple times they came over and surveilled Nancy's house? I mean, you can't be that stupid. The cartels aren't that stupid, where they come multiple times to look at a particular residence and get it wrong every single time. You would think if they got it wrong the first time, they would have said, "Hey, man, we're at the wrong house." Well, how do you know? Because I've been peeking in through the windows and an 84-year-old woman in there. Oh, well, let's go. Okay, maybe it's the next house. Let's find out. And that was January 11th, hypothetically. And then they come back and they go, "Oh, guess what? We got it wrong again. That's okay. Let's just take her." I'm telling you, even the cartels don't want this problem. Just think about it. We're talking about the cartels right now. Do you think they want this kind of publicity? No. Over an 84-year-old woman sound asleep in her room?
With no clear robbery or burglary.
To get back at Savannah?
No way.
It ain't happening. It ain't happening. But what do I know? We'll just let it take its course. Even they're going, those crazy gringos, they don't know what they're talking about. You got to respect, man. You got to pull it out and give them a chance. All right. It's been a great evening. Honey, any other closing thoughts?
Well, we are going to be reporting back to you guys for sure. Number one, we are going to be monitoring the Arizona Attorney General and any information or announcement she makes about Sheriff Nanos. Obviously, we may have another couple of weeks, so we're still going to be sharing that information out this week for sure. And we're going to report back to you also once I get to talk with the Pima County Medical Examiner about these jail deaths. And we're looking for the new top number and their take on this. They categorize the deaths. These are different things. Obviously, this has been an ongoing huge issue. And we're going to just stay on top of it and continue to report on it.
Yeah, and we are so thankful for everybody's generosity, for your kindness, for just everything that you guys bring us here. We are so appreciative of each and every one of you and the support that you show us. We only ask with that one thing is you just hit that subscribe button and that you pass this on to your friends, your family, all your circles of influence, because we can make a difference.
And somebody reminded me in chat, thank you, whoever that was. Let's go to our poll.
What are the numbers?
All right. We have just under 6,000 votes. Should the Attorney General indict Sheriff Nanos for perjury? 97% say yes.
Wow.
3% say no.
That's crazy numbers.
Thank you, everybody who voted in our unofficial poll tonight.
And we're about 500 away from 300,000. So if 500 of you and that 10,000 watching hit that subscribe button,
we would be so grateful.
We'll be grateful, and we'll see you tomorrow night on that one for sure. Any other thoughts, sweetheart?
No, I think we can go to Hawaii.
Great job tonight. Well done. You did good stuff. All right, everybody. Thank you again. Biakamai, aloha. Take care of one another, and we will see you on the next one.
Hard working every day, I'm stressed out 24/7, babe. No timeouts, wish we could fly away. You and I go to our favorite place. Oh yeah, make special memories together. I'll be your company now and forever. I say we fly away, you and me, go to our favorite place. Feeling the sun on my face in Hawaii. With you, Hawaii. With you, Hawaii. With you, Hawaii. I need a summer breeze, some fresh air to put my mind at ease. No cares. You wanna come with me? Me and you go to our favorite tree. Are you ready now? We jump on a plane now. We're taking away. Yeah, we're taking away. Don't hesitate now. We're taking away. Yeah, we're taking away. We'll never come down. We're going away. Yeah, we're going away. You and me. Feeling the sun on my face in Hawaii.
I've been dreaming so much lately about your face when you're smiling. It's the only thing that saves me. Hey, I don't know if I told you that I think you're beautiful, and how I can't wait to hold you. Yeah, you pull me up when I'm falling down, and I don't know what I would do without you. Yeah, you pull me up when I'm falling down. Hey, now look into my eyes. You can use them as a mirror, baby. You're my ticket to paradise. Hey, now everything's alright. We've been longing for each other, and it feels like I'm on cloud nine. I don't wanna be without you. This is something that I know for sure. It's just something about you. I just want more. Tell me what you wanna do right now. Tell me what you wanna do tonight. I really don't care as long as I'm with you. Hey, now look into my eyes. You can use them as a mirror, baby. You're my ticket to paradise. Hey, now everything's alright. We've been longing for each other, and it feels like I'm on cloud nine. Hey, now look into my eyes. You can use them as a mirror. You're my ticket to paradise. Hey, now look into my eyes. You can use them as a mirror, baby. You're my ticket to paradise. Hey, now everything's alright. We've been longing for each other, and it feels like I'm on cloud nine. Yeah, you pull me up when I'm falling down, and I don't know what I would do without you. Yeah, you pull me up when I'm falling down. Yeah, you pull me up when I'm falling down, and I don't know what I would do without you. Yeah, you pull me up when I'm falling down. Yeah, it feels like I'm on cloud nine.
It's always been you, Jesus. It's always been you, Emmanuel. Who gave thee this courage? What torch lights my feet? It's always been you, Jesus. It's always been you, Emmanuel. Who brings light to the morning? What flame lights my way home? It's always been you, Jesus. It's always been you, Emmanuel. trouble. Who can see me truly? It's always been you.